Welcome back to another episode of The Last of Us Talk Show. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are covering Season 1 episode Infected, our episode versus video game comparison. Okay, before we get into that, though, we got some big news to announce, and that is that the response the Last of Us HBO series has been so huge that they have announced and confirmed that The Last of Us Season 2 has been approved and is coming. That is so exciting. It's been a huge response. We know the first episode had 4 point something million, right? And then the episode 2, it grew to 5 point something million. And now I'm hearing reports of the +7. And if you don't know what that is, obviously nowadays people do a lot more recording on their DVR, and they do a lot more of the streaming service itself. Okay, and your +7 is how many people watch that episode before the next episode comes, the 7 days you have before the next episode comes out. And the +7, they're saying it's like over 20 million. So the show is getting huge. It's the next water cooler talk show, right? The show that everybody's talking about, the show that you'll be able to go to work and talk to your work friends with, your friends with, family. This is the show that everybody's watching and talking about right now. So that's really exciting news, and really exciting to know that we are for sure getting more of this story in the future. Okay, let's go ahead and get into our episode versus game comparison now. And of course, the very first thing that is going to be different is the flashback scene here, right? We don't get any flashback scenes in the video game at all. So it's really nice that we get it here all the way back in 2003, September 24th, in Jakarta. I like the fact that we are getting to see the start of the virus, right? And that we get to see how it was spread, because you don't get to see that at all in the video game. So it's just nice context, and to see in the moment how scared those people were of how bad this infection was and how bad it could be. Because again, we see the scientist in that moment say the only way to stop this is to bomb the infected and bomb them right away, because there's no cure, there's no medicine. That's the only way we're going to stop them. I feel like this is going to be a norm for the series here, is where we're going to get flashbacks to start the episodes. I don't know if they're all going to go back 20 years or if some of them are going to be more recent events, but still flashbacks. So I like that we're getting these flashbacks in the TV show. Sets up a lot of nice things and answers a lot of questions that I think TV show watchers would be asking, about the world if they weren't showing us that. Of course, the same thing that we get in both the show and the video game is the solution is to bomb. We get the scene here where we see some of the aftermath and the bombing craters that have been created around Boston, and that's the same solution that we get in the video game as well. And just think how crazy that is, that the solution is the only way to stop the spread is to bomb an entire area that has infection so that you can stop it before it gets to other places. Just absolutely insane, but that's how bad it is. And again, I like that we got that flashback scene setting that up, that no, this was a legitimate solution that even scientists were coming up with, because they knew they couldn't have a cure or medicine for it. As we're walking around, though, we do see that there are no infected, just like walking around the city, that Ellie, Joel, and Tess have to encounter. That's also different from the video game. Again, to me, this is a needed change from the video game to the TV show. In the video game, yes, it makes sense to have a lot of random encounters, right? Because you are interacting with a video game, you need things to do. If you just walk from one story point to the next story point with nothing happening in between, that would get very boring for a video game. In a TV show, if we had Joel, Ellie, and Tess walking from one point that and they needed to get to the next point, but they have like 10 random encounters with zombies, that's going to make the show feel very slow and plotting, right? And also, that affects the way we get the end of this episode, because at the end of this episode is where we get the clickers, right? And that scene is so suspenseful and intense. Now imagine, we ran into infected just walking around the city that we had to randomly find a way around, or they had to eliminate to get through an area. You get too many of those interactions, then when you get to a spot where it's supposed to be suspenseful, it doesn't feel as suspenseful, because you've already shown that your characters can deal with this situation no problem, right? You want them to get to those clickers and show, no, these clickers, this infected, it is a huge problem. So you don't want to tamper that down by just having a bunch of random encounters along the way. You know, again, in the video game, the towers, those big huge towers, and one of them that's leaning on the other, we see them go through the tower. Again, here we see them running into a bunch of infected, and running into other humans that they have to fight, bandits that they have to fight, right? Again, to me, that would really slow the show down. So I feel, again, that's a good change. You want the world to feel dangerous in the TV show, but you don't want to get to the point where you feel like, okay, how many things can they run into and get around, to where it suspends your disbelief, where you're saying, okay, why are they going from one spot to the next, and they have to kill off 200 zombies and 50 bandits, and they never have any issue doing that. It has to feel a little bit more spread out in a TV show, so that way when you get to those big moments, it feels like a big moment. When they do reach the Firefly base in the TV show, we see that the reason why all of the Fireflies are dead is because somebody got infected, started attacking and infecting others, and then they all had to end up, killing each other because of being infected. In the video game, it is Fedra who killed the Fireflies, and that obviously makes a big, huge difference in the end of the episode. I like here better. It works really well for the TV show. I'm not gonna say it works better. It's better than the video game, but in this exact moment for the TV show, I think it works really well to show that the Fireflies are infected, and that because somebody got infected, and started attacking others, that they would get infected fast, so they all had to eliminate each other. I think, again, that really shows how bad and how fast the infection spreads in this world, and they really need to show that in the video game. Again, you're interacting with characters, you're walking around a lot more, so you get a lot more of that setup, so you know how dangerous this is. It really works for the TV show to show that this is how dangerous it is, the infection, and this is what one person in a group getting an infection, this is the damage it can cause. We see when we get in this building, we see the clickers, and in the video game and the TV show, they work exactly the same way. Not able to see, but they can hear. Again, great job of the TV show of portraying that. I love that they got real actors to portray this and make those movements. It looks so real to have not just to have fully CGI characters, right? I love that it's actual human beings making those moments. It just makes it that much creepier. And a lot of times when you watch something that's got CGI monsters in it, it kind of takes you out of the moment. This, because it is real, it looks real and feels real to the world. So, I think you got to commend for that. It looked great. Now, in the TV show, we see that during the clicker attack that um, Ellie got bit, right? And we see that it's still not getting worse, and so she's not infected. And that's how Joel is able to figure out, okay, maybe there really is something to this girl, and she's immune to this, and she's not going to get infected. In the video game, again, a big difference, because in the video game and the TV show, just in general, this is a difference. In the video game, the uh, the virus is airborne, right? You can get it through breathing in spores in the air. And so in the video game, we see Ellie, loses her mask. She's breathing in the spores, and nothing happens to her. She doesn't get infected, and she's just fine. So that's how Joel finds out. So here, because they have said in the TV show that spores is not the way it spreads in this world, we see that she's we see that she's bit again, and so that's how we figure that out, and how Joel figures that out. In the TV show, Tess gets infected same way as she does in video games. She's bit on the upper body area. She knows she doesn't have long left. But again, going back to the fact that there's a difference in the video game and TV show, when they get to this building, it was Fedra that killed the Fireflies here. Instead of a horde of zombies being alerted to the area by stepping on the patch of the worldwide, what do they call it, the worldwide root system or whatever it is, and that telling the other infected to go there. In the video game, Fedra shows up and Tess fights them to the death. Same exact reason and motivation she has for it, so that Joel and Ellie have a chance to get a head start and get away from Fedra. Instead in the TV show, it's giving Ellie and Joel a chance to escape from the zombies. Again, even though Ellie is immune from being infected, she's not immune from being torn apart. So Tess can sacrifice herself to stop and slow down infected from getting them, and Joel and Ellie are able to make their escape. So that is a pretty big change here as well, and works on a million levels for me in the TV show. I feel like this is an even better sacrifice to me than the video game. In the video game, it's just kind of Ellie and Joel are outside. They hear the gunshots from Fedra and Tess shooting back at them, and obviously Tess is taken out, and they just have to keep moving on. I feel like this is a lot more. It almost even seems more heroic here for Tess to stay behind, stop a horde of zombies from getting Joel and Ellie. It's not just like some government fascist, random soldiers that are just coming to kill her. It's the most dangerous thing in this world, which is this infected horde that can be alerted by stepping on on a patch of fungus. So that's the major differences that I noticed in the TV show versus the video game. If you notice any more, I'd love to hear them. If you're watching on YouTube, leave comments. If you are listening to a podcast version, write into the Last of Us talk show at gmail.com, and I'll respond and maybe read out some of the questions or comments on the show. So make sure you're doing that. So yeah, make sure that's going to be the episode, and that's the other thing. This isn't normally. This is the day of episode being dropped, 3 being dropped. Normally, I will get the episode versus game comparison episode up sooner than this, but I wasn't able to this week. So here we are. In just like 5 short hours from the time I'm recording this, the next episode's going to be up, and then I'm excited to record the instant reaction to that. But so you don't miss that, make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube, hit that notification bell, whatever podcast app you're on. Make sure you subscribe or hit the follow button. And that's the episode. So until next time, endure and survive.